Toot that, love the way you shoot that. Just got a head dish, try and get a groove back. Touch it like an iPad, baby, I'm a true Mac. Real nigga coming through, everybody move back. Walk through the back door, they was like, who's that? 6'1", brown skin sagging in my new hat. Had to look back when you passed, cause it's too fast. She told me come over right now, she got a new wax, the mother hoes gone. Baby girl, you back, don't throw the ice in the trash, we can use that. Got a nice bra on, baby, we can lose that. Don't say you a pro, I'ma make you prove that I love Dom.
We're good?
Yeah. Welcome to episode 51.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. I've been sick all week. I'm on some sort of Allegra decongestant, but we're still here.
Yeah, no, I've been up and down with health too, but no, I'm doing good, and I'm glad that you're feeling better.
So, gotta show up.
Right before we started the podcast, we were talking about the population of Detroit. I thought that it has been just like increasing dramatically these past couple of years, but I guess we're looking at it now, and I guess it really hasn't. It's kind of just like stayed the same since, what is it, 2010 to like pretty much like now.
I thought we were going to keep it a secret.
Like, well,
I'm just kidding.
Don't worry about it.
I mean, don't think we're going to bring an influx of visitors from our podcast.
Yeah. I don't think that this will get that deep yet. But no, that's pretty crazy.
It did drop from 821,000 to 711,000 from 2009 to 2010.
Yeah, that was during the what?
It's right after the 2008 recession.
Yeah. So
and they fired a bunch of people at the auto company, right?
Yeah, that
and supporting
shut down a lot of production plants, and that's
because
what
people
a lot
think
of people.
Ford, GM, but there's a lot of satellite companies that build parts for these.
It's a huge network when a big company like that just like stops like working in that area.
You'll find some company called Synopsys Digital, and you actually go to look at the details for the job or the company, and it says a subsidiary of Ford Motor Company. So basically if Ford goes down or at least fires a bunch of people, their company might get shut down basically if they lose their contract.
Yeah, no, that's
because they're basically working off a contract.
That's a totally realistic situation. I mean, that happens in every sort of industry almost. I've seen it. I've seen it at my job as well too. But yeah, that must have been a really scary time for a lot of people. I mean, I felt it. I mean, I was a kid, but it's not like I was working myself or had any situation where I was going to need to worry about feeding like kids or even a pet or anything.
Right.
You know, I could see everyone in my family, a lot more stressed out during that time. But as a kid, so that was what, 2000, let's say 8?
Yeah.
Like, how old were we?
I don't know. What is that, 11 years ago? Like 14?
Like 14.
Yeah.
15, yeah.
Little tyke.
Yeah.
Not really. I guess we were kind of starting to be that teenager type age, but not driving yet.
Yeah, we were just right under that limit. So it's not like we lost jobs ourselves or something like that. But it gave everyone a general sort of fear. You start thinking, are my parents going to be okay? My exactly.
Friends, families, everything like that. It might result in some of your friends moving away if their parents take jobs in other states, so on.
Yeah, because didn't we just see that there are more people in Ohio? Like, did everyone just like leave and go to Ohio? Like, I don't get that. Like, why the fuck there?
I think there's some kind of, maybe Chevy has a truck plant there. I don't know. Maybe there's some automaker operations down in Ohio. There has to be. Because, I mean, come on. Besides Cedar Point, who's down there? I know Cincinnati's pretty cool, but overall, how could it have more population than Detroit?
Probably
a lot
of LeBron James fans at one point. And then they thought that he was going to be there forever, and then they just got stuck.
Let's back up. I'm wrong. Detroit has more than Cleveland, but we were talking about, before the podcast, the state of Michigan versus Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Michigan has less people in it. I said Detroit. I was wrong.
Yeah, no, Michigan definitely That's
weird,
it's
especially
weird,
with the UP and Kalamazoo, all these different populated areas throughout the state, the West Side, Grand Rapids, and there's more people in Ohio.
I feel well. Maybe it's because not really. My original thought was maybe it's cheaper to live in Ohio, but that doesn't necessarily equate to like where people live. Because like California is expensive, and then there's a lot of fucking people over there.
Yeah, a lot of homeless people too.
Yeah.
A lot of everybody. It's
Yeah.
just really full.
But like Michigan has a lot more tourist destinations. I feel like
Yeah, we got like Hell. We got Mackinac Bridge.
like at the whole like
We
UP.
have sand
I mean,
dunes.
Detroit's actually like kind of nice now.
Yeah, we got into that a few episodes back
Yeah.
in more depth. But there's a lot of interesting stuff they do downtown. There's always something going on basically every day. If you look at the calendar, they have the city events basically of a parade, or there's some sort of arts thing going on. Or in the summer they have the tiki bar, which is cool. They have sand and
they have sand.
Well, I was gonna add, they have volleyball nets set up, and you can play beach volleyball there. And they have like island drinks and palm trees. So you basically can pretend you're in the islands in the middle of the city.
No,
They have sand. They got air. They got water.
it is
It's
pretty
a
cool.
tremendous place.
I mean, I've been there before, but it's not like you see
They have sun.
places. I feel like in Ohio where a lot of people like. Do you know any place in Ohio that's just like that's a tourist destination?
I went to a liquor store once after Cedar Point, and I thought I was gonna get stabbed.
Oh, wait. Yeah, isn't Cedar Point in Ohio, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
I
Yeah.
stopped on the way back to the hotel because I was staying overnight
Mhm.
in this place where it was this all dark neighborhoods. I'm talking like most people had their houses all dark, no street lights either. So it was this pitch black. And then I came upon the one single street light was a open liquor store with a few people in the parking lot. And they were like standing outside their car drinking out of brown bottles. I'm like, I'm going to get stabbed. And my girlfriend at the time was like, are you going to go in? I was like, you sure? I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
shit.
it's like sure if I have to.
Yeah. I'm like, do we really want vodka right now? But it ended up being okay. Everyone was pretty chill. There actually was some sort of disagreement going on when I walked in. Like some guy, claims he didn't get the right change, that type of situation. He was just talking shit to the clerk.
Mhm.
And I was like, I feel like this guy's about to throw down or something, get in a fist fight.
I
But
would.
yeah, Ohio always
Mhm.
feels sketchy. And it's just a lot of open fields, but it's beautiful. I mean, but it's kind of flat and boring.
When I was in Cleveland this past summer,
I haven't been to the
went-
city, so you probably have more experience with this.
I went. I went as a kid too, but I barely remember that. But going back as an adult, the city itself was actually like really nice. It was just maybe one thing it had to do with it was just like in the middle of the week. But when I went there, while the city was nice, it was just empty. Like
Just no one was in it.
no one was in it. Like
That's really creepy.
I forgot what the name of the bar was, but it just seemed like just like any like random kind of like bar over there because coworkers wanted to get like food and stuff. So we walk in there and it's just like empty. There's maybe like one other person there.
Did they stare right at you when you walked in? Like they didn't expect anyone else to be in the city?
Yeah. They were like, wow, like
There's other humans here.
like they're like, what are you guys like
Yeah.
doing here?
How did you come upon this location?
It's like, yeah, we're here for work stuff, but yeah, and it was Cleveland was a nice city, but it was empty.
An empty city, you walk in with a crew of people, and you're asked what you're there for, and you're like, work stuff.
Work stuff.
They're like, oh shit, these guys are in the mafia.
They're like, oh yeah, they're doing big things. Like, but yeah,
So we were talking about this article about public transit projects getting killed around the country. You want to get into this?
yeah, of course. Let's see. So here, you read the article first. Kind of go a little bit deeper into it.
Well, there's not that much to it, I guess. Is it the Koch brothers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Koch brothers are killing public transit projects around the country by basically just spam calling tons of people and sending out tons of people on foot to knock on doors, basically just foot soldiers, to spread the word that these bills getting passed and projects getting passed in these cities for trains, improved bus systems, rail systems, are a waste of taxpayer money. And the main arguments they have are mainly how it raises taxes, which I guess you do have to argue is true.
Well, yeah, of course. Like, of course, that's going to raise taxes if
'cause
they
you
add
have to
more
pay
like public
for it.
transportation. Like, duh,
Right.
You get more stuff.
But the main point is the majority of people were supporting these bills in most cities before they came around in these mass waves and tried to change people's minds, saying
Oh,
it's
I'm
like
sure.
it's all a scam and you don't need
People are
this.
easily like scared.
Yeah, and the arguments they're saying is people are going to have electric driverless cars. They don't want these rail systems and all that. So we looked it up, and currently less than 1% of everyone in the United States owns an electric car, let alone a self-driving electric car. So that point is moot completely. That's bullshit. And do you want to get into the population differences that they were trying to compare? That our cities aren't populated enough to need these systems?
Yeah, that
When,
was very, very goofy.
Yeah, so as an example, we compared a country, Germany, with a very good rail system. You can basically go between all the main cities. And their populations are... Berlin has 3.5 million, Hamburg has 1.7 million, Munich 1.4, Cologne 1, and so on. And New York has 8.6. Los Angeles, which has some of the worst traffic, has 4 million. So how could anyone argue that Los Angeles doesn't need a very high-tech public transport system? They need some sort of underground subway like Elon Musk was talking about, with his rails and all whatever projects he's doing with the Bohr system. What's it called?
What is it? So it's
Boring Company.
Yeah. I was gonna say it was something silly.
Yeah, the Boring Company. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I really, honestly, public transportation, that would be great. Like, you even see it in Detroit a little bit more. Like, they've got those new like shuttle systems. I've seen people just actually use those, which is, to me, that's kind of mind-blowing, since like growing up as a kid, I would never see that at all in the city.
Even in Detroit, everyone calls it the mugger mover, or they used to, because you go on there and you'd get mugged in the middle of the night because like people would just stay on there and just fuck with people, and they would just keep riding it because you didn't have to get off.
And then with the big three being like here, they kind of own the state, so like and everyone works for them, so a lot of people have cars.
Yeah.
But if I were, for example, in Los Angeles,
like the meme, why not both though? Like, I like cool cars, muscle cars, sports cars, and I like just the freedom of driving, but it doesn't mean you can't vastly reduce traffic and improve the air quality by having a great public transport system.
It's a little different with people like you and I, who like, we live in the suburbs. We don't live in like the city itself. So for you and I, yeah, like having a car, that'd be like kind of necessary still. But let's say like we lived in
That's
the
what I'm
city.
saying. Like, it's not
we wouldn't
everywhere.
need it. Yeah,
Yeah.
most people really don't need a car.
Right, it's not like one way you're like a eco-friendly hippie who hates cars and drives a Prius who wants the rail system. I like muscle cars, like I said. Fast things. I like the freedom, but you can definitely improve the infrastructure of cities. Like you're saying, people who live downtown and in nearby areas. For example, look at Seattle. They have the light rail. It goes out to the outer reaches where people are basically living in suburb neighborhoods, and you can go to the end of the street to the stations, and they can take that all the way downtown. They don't have anything like that over here. You can't be living out in, say, Westland. Hop on a rail that'll take you to downtown Detroit.
I mean, you could take buses that like in some will like connect and like
yeah, you can. I mean, there is public transport, but I'm saying we should be improving on.
Yeah, it's nowhere near the level of, let's say, just take Japan.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, their subway system is intense.
Go to like Tokyo.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know how in the world we'd figure that. We'd have to use some app that like Google Translate or something with the live picture.
dude, I would be so
Or
intimidated.
maybe Google Maps will tell you which button to press.
I feel like they
I feel
would
like
probably input something to like
because they have
stupid
subways
people
on
like
there.
me.
Yeah. And it'll show you rail routes, like how to get on public transport. So I'm sure it'll tell you, like, oh, like this symbol, and you're like trying to line it up. Do I go on this one or the left train? You know.
I would like to think that if I was planning on like going there and using that system, I would like look up what to do and like
Pre-plan
X, Y,
it
and Z
all.
before.
Oh, I'd go
But-
old school, dude. I'd print it out like MapQuest.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
People used to like drive, like, where am I like meeting this person up at for coffee? You'd be like, I haven't been to this Bigby. You'd be looking at your MapQuest printout. It's like, take a left here and then go like 3.2 miles.
Unless if I was like kidnapped and just like brought there for some reason and escaped and had to use this like subway system to get home.
Yeah, I'll
like-
make my own instructions. It'll be
Yeah.
like, wait 45 minutes at station with symbol that looks like pyramid with eye on it. It's like, and then jump on train with blue symbol. Like, I'll make it like, idiot proof.
Because to an idiot like me who hasn't like actually tried to
Go overseas or anything.
look into just how to read that manuscript at all,
I don't think it's
Like-
any simple task, so
Yeah, like
it's not our
that's-
fault.
I wouldn't. If there wasn't like an English like translation like right next to it, like I'd be screwed.
Yeah, because here's the thing. If you're around anyone Spanish, French, you can start to pick up on some of the words they speak because they're somewhat English, Latin-derived languages. But if you hear someone talking Mandarin, you don't pick up anything unless they teach you some of the words. It's so hard to even understand what the sounds they're making are compared to, say, someone saying, like, ¿Cómo estás in Spanish. You're like, someone can repeat that who speaks English and, like, kind of start to get, oh, it's like, how are you?
Besides knowing like 3 phrases in Spanish, I don't know like any other language. So for the most part, if I was ever in a situation, whether I was in like China, France,
Well, here, could you at least ask,
Africa, I would 100% like just go off of body language that as much as I could.
bathroom, right? Like, baño?
Yeah.
So, like, you'd have some chance of being like baño and, like, pointing around. Like, how do you say, bathroom in Chinese, Mandarin? I don't know. I would just point at my ass and be like,
Yeah.
I'll be like, the front and back. I'll just point both arrows.
Yeah.
Both sides.
Yeah, just do like the eating motion and then like sitting motion and then like
Yeah, like, I'll eat an imaginary burger and then, like, use my hands to show it going through my body and then be like, oh, and lean over with my stomach and then point at my ass.
you walk up to this dude and he's like, I can speak English, you fuck.
He's like, what the fuck are you
Yeah.
doing?
He's like, what the fuck is this like random white dude doing? Like, is he okay? But
I think we've mentioned it before, but it's hilarious how, especially in a lot of Nordic countries like Iceland, Switzerland type areas, I don't know, is Iceland Nordic? Yeah, well,
I don't
I don't know. It seems like any country with lots of tall white people, though, it seems like they usually know
I've watched
English.
Game of Thrones once or twice. I know a thing or two.
Yeah, but it doesn't always seem like they basically know English. A lot of them, like, they're taught it in school, because you always hear about people.
English is like the business language of the world. A lot of countries like they
Yeah.
teach people English. Yeah.
Like, I hear people, like, go to, like, Sweden and try to speak their language, and then, like, they'll just be like, hey, man, like, I know English, you don't have to try.
Yeah. People do appreciate that though.
Yeah,
Like,
they do, but
yeah.
it's like, you don't have to struggle, I know it.
That's all people want. It's funny because I feel like people just want to see like
Do you know how
like
relieving that would be? Like, if you went to Japan and you just felt, like, completely lost, and you went to a bar, and there's a Japanese bartender, and out of nowhere, he or she was just like, so how are you, in English, because they could tell you're American. And
Right.
you're like, oh my god.
like
You're like, sorry, I need to stop bending these headphones.
no, because it's like this sense of community. People like that because you feel, especially like if you go to
What's annoying when you can't talk to anyone?
yeah, you go to some place where really you're a complete outsider, like culturally, like obviously, like language wise, like everything.
Yeah, because
And-
unless you're with a crew of people or at least one other person, and you're in an area where no one really speaks English, it's not a tourist type place. If you're just like standing alone in line, you're like, oh, how's it going? And then someone just looks at you and looks away because they don't even understand what you just said.
It's
That
almost
type of
like
thing.
so. You remember like back in school when you would be in like a big group setting and you're trying to find someone you know, and all of a sudden you see like a friend that they're really not even like that good of a friend. It's just like
Someone to go near.
someone to go
Oh yeah,
near.
you go near familiarity.
It's like that.
If I could go back in time, 90% of those occurrences, I'd say fuck that person. I'd go stand next to someone new and make a new friend because usually
yeah, it's like-
that person didn't stick around and they were like an asshole to me or something.
It was just because you
knew them.
Yeah, you knew you were familiar.
Yeah, definitely like elementary school, middle school. I would definitely go near someone I didn't like if I just had hung out with them once or twice
But
or something.
we say this now, but as kids, you and I both remember, like kids were fucking ruthless.
Yeah, we were just getting into that. Kids are so mean. I think kids hit peak mean in middle school and
Definitely.
and early high school for girls more. But
Yeah.
then I think it trails off for everyone. By senior year, everyone kind of matures. Like, all right, guys, let's just like all be friends.
Yeah,
Because senior.
and everyone's like, who cares? Like
Yeah.
we're all gonna just do our own shit anyways.
Yeah, because
most
grade
part.
was voted like the worst year ever at my high school, basically.
Like, what
Not
do you
official
mean?
contest, but they told us in a conference, basically.
Like you guys fucking suck.
Yeah, they
Like,
brought us all into the auditorium. They're like, only this grade. I think it was like 11th grade at the time. We were juniors. And, they read off some stats about suspensions and all that. And they're like, the numbers aren't the worst. They're like, you guys are just the worst year we've ever had, ever.
like what's
the
wrong with
crazy
these
thing
kids?
is, the police went fucking nuts. Everyone ate it up. Everyone started yelling and stuff.
See, look. At that point, I feel like you're just antagonizing like the kids.
Yeah, well,
like,
not anger, like just a bunch of people like whoop whoop and like cheers and stuff.
yeah, no,
Because
it's
like
like
it's
what
high school, kids are gonna love that.
What did they expect?
Notoriety.
Like, what did the faculty expect to happen? Like, did they think that the kids are gonna just like, okay, yeah, we'll just be like sit here and just okay, yeah. No, the kids are gonna be like angsty, like think that's funny and just like okay, yeah,
they're like,
haha,
we're
who
so
cares?
edgy, we're the worst
Yeah.
grade ever.
Yeah.
And it makes you worse. Then they're like, I'm gonna go do crazy shit, like do burnouts and then go drink and drive.
One of the most real moments I ever had in high school, we had this like guest speaker who was at the school for I think to talk about some like charity program
Yeah.
for I think I forgot what the exact cause was for. I think something with cerebral palsy.
Oh my god, I think I had a similar experience. You're bringing it up. I'll let you finish. Go on.
And it's obviously not everyone because they couldn't fit everyone in the like auditorium at once. So like there was like different like I think like 2 different like times that he like talked to everyone.
Right.
So because when we had a pretty big high school, a couple hundred kids,
So we did like wave A, wave B.
Yeah.
We did that when we hit. Okay, this is bringing up my guest
Yeah,
speaker. But
so at
Keep
one
going.
point during this he's talking about like his son who unfortunately had the same ailment as well too, and
wow, that
and
really does suck.
the dude's getting fucking emotional for obvious reasons,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden like you hear in like the back like corner of the auditorium, is he crying? Some chick says, and this dude who's been like an awesome dude for the entire presentation, he says, yes, I'm crying, that's my son. And, like I was like, oh my god, like fucking
When you witness a
I
slam,
gasped, like I literally
yeah,
gasped,
you
like
can
15 years
feel-
old me was like
when someone
It
burns
was
someone
heavy.
like that, like just throws it back at him that strongly, you can feel it in the air.
oh dude, everyone like students, faculty, like everyone like turned on her, like
Yeah.
dude, she got like suspended, like it was a rough situation, but it made his like speech like more real. I mean, obviously that wasn't like fake because like this chick was like not the greatest person in the world, but everyone's got their own story. But that was a fucked up thing that like the worst possible thing that you could fucking like do.
Why would you yell that out? So cringy
Because
too.
like, high school kids, it's probably funny. Like so she was probably like someone's gonna laugh, but in reality like no one laughed. It got quiet, and he got like really like pissed for good reason. And then like everyone
Yeah.
else was like, Yeah, like fuck you. It was
Right.
it was heavy.
I don't want to. I might be fudging this. Middle school is a long time ago because I'm not sure exactly what this guy's deal was. But they brought him in to speak to the school. But he might have been one of those guys that was missing his legs and his arms and like waddled around on stage type thing.
Right.
And if it wasn't, he had some other form of bad ailment. I'll just leave it at that.
Right.
But anyways, there was a row of people I knew in the same row. So it was right next to me or right in front of me. And they were like making paper hornets, talking during this guy's presentation, like dicks, like disrespectful middle schoolers, you know. And if I remember correctly, I was just sitting there. I didn't want any part of this because I just knew a teacher or he was going to hear it.
Yeah.
Eventually, because it was so loud and just kept going and
It's
going.
like you could see where that was going.
Yeah, and then because I remember the guy had the mouthpiece on, like the little boom mic that comes from the ear.
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
like, "Do you have something to add?" He's like, "How do you feel about that story?" He's like, "You three over there." And like, you know, middle schoolers just crack instantly.
Yep.
It was literally like that South Park when the guy's doing the motivational speech at the school and he's talking shit. And they instantly froze off and they're like, "No, sir." You know, and I forgot what he said, but I remember the terror in the room that like an adult was just like, "What? Like, do you have something to add?" And he was like pretty pissed off about it.
Because kids think that they're untouchable. That's why, like, a lot of kids...
He told them directly, I'm pretty sure, he's like, "Don't talk during this." He's like, "I'll tell you once." And then he just stopped. I was like, damn.
Kids need to be checked.
Yeah.
Like, that's why, like, if you ever see... it's hard for a kid to, like, stand up to one for obvious reasons. Obviously, being a kid myself, understanding it. But when you have, like, a bully... Like, the best thing to do is check the fucking bully. I mean, it's easy to say that as an adult.
It is, but now knowing what I know at even this age, we're not old, wise men. You got to just punch that dude in the mouth if he won't leave you alone. You know, like, give him enough warnings and, like, try to get him to leave you alone. But if he keeps pushing you, you got to punch that dude in the face.
Your boss just keeps adding more and more projects. Just fucking punch him in the mouth, like you have to, like, you know, just like, you know what, fuck
don't
it.
do that.
Just say, you know, I'm done. Just punch him right in the mouth. But
for real, if you're that kid who's, you know, 100 pounds and there's some 150-pound kid in your grade who keeps pushing into lockers and you tell the teacher and nothing happens.
Yeah.
And you tell your parents and, you know, they tell the school, nothing really happens, and he keeps pushing you. You got to punch that kid in the mouth.
Yeah, a lot of
At least
kids,
give him a good stomach shot, like something just to knock the wind out of him.
I was telling you before the podcast, like, the one, like, real fight I ever got into, like, as a kid, I got my ass whooped, but like, I feel like a lot
now
of...
you know.
No, like, no.
Not a natural born fighter.
My thing is, like, you have to be, you can't be afraid to, like, get, like, that ass whooping. You know what I mean?
No, if you take a couple shots.
It's... A lot of people are afraid to do that, especially, like, for something that they, like, believe in, I would say.
Yeah,
people
I'm not pushing street fights, but if
you have to defend yourself.
Yeah, if someone's getting bullied, they have every right to pull the trigger on a hard right or a hard uppercut, maybe a leg kick.
But yeah, as a kid, that's so hard to do because it's intimidating because...
Kids it's fear of everything. It's fear of your parents, suspension, what's going to happen.
The physical threat right in front of you, like, and kids are ruthless.
Because even now, but at this age of mid-20s, you know, I just feel like maybe 2-3 years ago at the earliest, I started to feel like finally putting together like what life is. Because really, it's kind of somewhat of a blur all through your teens and like up to 21 in a way. You know, like you think you're an adult at many points, but once you really start to get, you know, 25, I feel, 26, it seems like we're starting to have a more open view of the world and just life in general. Because kids are idiots at 18, and for the most part. There's smart ones, but a lot of them.
I feel like there's... weirdly enough, I was kind of thinking about a similar topic as well, too, recently. So in terms of like life, like you mentioned, like in terms of age, like 25 years old, like around mid-20s, like it's kind of starting to kick in.
I mean, I still have no clue what I'm doing.
Well, yeah.
But at least it's more clear that I have no clue what I'm doing.
So I think like life kind of starts to kick in when the average person realizes, okay, well, life can be, I'm gonna like just work every day and come home and watch sports and then go back to work on Monday. Like that doesn't seem like a life to me. So it obviously, like, there are tools in there that the average American like needs to use, like having a job to, you know, pursue anything. But I feel like life actually starts when you create something, you know, whether that be obvious, like what we're doing now, podcast, music, or like, let's say, art, or just creating a business, just creating something. I feel like just,
and you don't have to be good at it. That's the thing, you know. Just doing it is satisfying. We were talking about the whole producer versus consumer culture, and how some people just fall into that pure consumption where they're just eating up every single shitty show on Netflix. Not that some of them aren't amazing, but they put out a lot of crap. People just check things out and spend all their time looking for shows and movies to watch.
Think about,
but if you don't make anything, for me, it just doesn't feel fulfilling.
do you know how sometimes, just I do it all the time myself, you'll just catch yourself just like scrolling through Instagram or Reddit for like an hour longer, who knows? You just sit there and just scroll through shit on your phone. You got to think, you're only one person. Think about how many other people just do that just without even thinking. So
there's layers to it. There's people who just scroll. There's people who scroll and upvote.
Yep.
There's people who scroll and upvote and downvote and maybe individual comments. And then there's people who are actually interacting directly. They're posting their own, actually, I'll just say comments even. And then there's the lowest, the full deep level are the content creators on Reddit, the people actually making the posts. So there's many levels to it. There's full-on just scrollers in the millions. That's why you see something that probably has 40 million or plus 100 million actual clicks will have 47,000 upvotes or so.
Yeah, see, I mostly just
and
scroll through and read like articles and shit.
Same with YouTube. Look at the comment to view ratio.
Oh yeah,
they'll have stuff in
it's
the
so much
billions.
more work. It's so much more work to get people to actually interact with shit. Like it's one thing to get like impressions on anything, like people like listening to your song or watching your video on YouTube, but to actually have people comment, just like leaving a review on like Yelp or something, or Google reviews, you have to have like a real experience to want to interact with it. Whether that be like a good experience, like, oh yeah, I really like your content, or it really fucking sucks. Like, you got to stop doing whatever you're doing. But yeah, it's weird. Some shit doesn't elicit that, and yeah, that's where a lot of people fall in the trap.
Everyone could have their own, personal belief about this. If they want to keep their stuff private for whatever reason. But I was gonna say, I think if you make stuff, you should put it out for the world to consume. Yeah. Be open with it. Worst case, you get a bad comment, just brush it off. But someone might see it and get inspired, or they might just like looking at it. If you make like a cool painting, if you make a cool little game for yourself, just throw it up on YouTube, even a video of it.
Do you know what is like a random quote that as it may sound silly, but I heard it as a kid, but I to this day I kind of like it, because I think about it how I could apply that to my own life as well too. Like Tupac, obviously, right?
I've heard of him.
Yep.
Big fan.
He had a quote during some interview. He was like, I may not like change the world, of course, but I may spark the brain of someone who may do something really positive. So I think about that in my life as well too. Like, I might not like ever do anything that's like tremendously like beneficial. I might not cure fucking cancer or something, but maybe I'll have a conversation with some dude who, I don't know, down on his luck one day, and I changed his perspective, and he went to go and fucking do something like great. Right. So I like to think of shit that way.
And unless excuse me, sickness. Unless you're one of like a few selected people who's just a natural phenom, natural artist, just draws beautifully or whatever from the get-go, or has just the perfect eye for photography. The majority of people just have to get good with experience. So
yeah, just like everything, it takes work.
Yeah, there's no expectation. You don't need to be good. Just start making stuff. Just draw a shitty painting, or maybe just try things. I don't know. I can't recommend anything because I don't know what you may be into. Whoever's listening.
The only thing that I would say, like, that's we see a lot now, and it's becoming bigger and bigger, that kind of is molding the two, because video games, in a sense, like, that's, and the
It's
basic
really
sense,
the pinnacle of all the art in a way.
it's like very consumer
Right.
oriented. But now you see with like Twitch and a lot of these, like, streaming platforms, you can also become a creator of this, like, consuming thing that you're doing too.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing though, is you can be a creator of that, but on the opposite end, it's almost in a fucked up dystopia sense that so many people are watching streams of other people playing games, consuming content. So they're consuming other people consuming content.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe in some cases, there's someone watching a stream on their stream. So there's some crazy multi-level abstraction when you could, like, maybe just sketch a bird or something, or a tree. You might feel better about your day, or go for a walk, take a picture.
Hey, that's so it's weird what people will want to consume, because while maybe, like, let's say, like, the third level of like Twitch streaming that I'm watching, I might kind of lose my mind.
Yeah.
But I know that I'll watch, for example, the JRE, like, fight companions. You'll have like comedians like Joe Rogan and like a former fighter like Brendan Schaub. They'll like talk and commentate on fights that they're watching. I'm not even watching the fight sometimes. And
Right. You
so,
end up just watching the commentary because it's better than the fight going on.
yeah, so it's like, okay, I'm watching someone consume other content, and so
Right.
I
That
kind
one's
of
different though in a way, but
a little
agreed.
bit, a little bit, but not too far off. I mean, they're obviously not like playing, a game, but
I guess if they showed it the whole time, like an actual fight, and they were talking over, I don't know. Maybe it's just because they barely show the fights. I don't associate it as much because they end up just getting into a bunch of comedic bullshit.
but yeah, when you look at
Like a game is more directly you're watching the stream of someone playing.
but when you look at gaming now, it's a different thing, because
'Cause it's control-based.
someone is like controlling something.
Right,
That,
you're
yeah,
not even
that's really what I
controlling
want to
the
get at.
experience.
Yeah, like.
That's why games are so good, because they're tactile. You're controlling the interactive movie experience. But if you're just letting someone else make all the decisions, you might find a cool tip. Like, I get if you throw on a stream to, get some tips how to play Battlefield better. But if you sit for 12 hours and you watch someone do a God of War playthrough, go buy a PS4 and do it yourself. Or if you can't afford it, maybe go outside or something. I don't know.
I will say, though, I would be lying to you if
I've watched
even
streams.
so I've beaten this game probably like 50 different times. The old Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic games, I've gone through on, because they're all over YouTube. Different people will go through like speed runs, or just play the game and have the entire like content of the game as they're going through it on YouTube. And I'll sit there and fucking watch it. Like, I beat this game like 50 times, and it's like a movie at this point. So that's why.
I have watched like all the cutscenes connected of a game.
Oh yeah,
before.
it's fun. It's like a movie.
I have done that. Just watch it at like an actual movie. But usually that's of games I either don't want to play the sequel of, so I just watch the sequel all connected in a movie, or a game like you said I played a long time ago for nostalgia. I'll watch it like all the cutscenes.
That's why, like you mentioned a little bit earlier, that games, like, they're like the best form of like entertainment, something like that, because really
They're the pinnacle of everything.
exactly,
There's-
the pinnacle. Thank you.
Yeah, there's music, there's interactive.
You'll play some
aspect
games.
of it.
You'll play some games now, like two, for example, that are almost like fucking movies. Are the new God of War game and the new Red Dead Redemption game. Like, both of those, those are like almost fucking like movies. So
They're way deeper than a movie, because like if you play through God of War with all the crazy mythology things you see and all the, it's very tactile. Noises come out of the controller, and you have to tap the buttons to like open large gates. So you feel like you're really part of the experience playing some of those games. And they do have long cutscenes spurse throughout the game. So you did get a nice mix. It's like you're kind of watching a movie, then you control the next action part, then you watch another talking cutscene.
That's exactly how Red Dead set up. Like,
Yeah.
you get so deep into aspects of the game that it feels like you're watching a movie.
I'm
So-
glad that all these nice single player games have came out recently, because for a while they were
They were
running
gone.
dry.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of all multiplayer only games coming out. I like a good story. I like to get into an experience.
I think what really has helped, honestly, I think, have been all of these deep TV shows. Because for a while you'll watch shows, you know, like not saying that this show wasn't deep at all, because it got really deep at point, but like a show like Scrubs maybe, or just like a random like sitcom like fucking Seinfeld. People would just watch these, like, you know, lighthearted shows for the most part. But then you would see shows that would just get like more and more like deeper. You start like Breaking Bad's, what is it, the Prison Breaks, even though I think they got shitty at some point, whatever, Dexter's, but Lost. So and then you get into all these deep shows like Netflix, etc. People are really like let's say more in tune with, they want really good content,
Right.
so they want to be like stuck to their seat point. Like, how many shows on Netflix do people binge? Like Narcos and
Right, I love it. I binged Narcos, yeah.
what's the other show with the kids, like the Halloween one type situation?
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, yeah.
Yeah.
Like people, like they want to be like so deep into shit now, like Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
So-
people get so deep into that shit. They'll get T-shirts of the shows, you know, from these Netflix shows and all that. I'm like, damn. I mean, it's cool, but I just watched it and I'm done with it.
They're catching some of those same people in like the video game realm, like
Yeah.
with these games like God of War or Red Dead Redemption.
Yep.
Because I find myself like getting deep into like shows like Game of Thrones. Or
Me too.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
into the world. Like,
Yeah.
I'm excited for the last season coming up. Was it season 9 or 8? Season 8.
So something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know.
It
But
comes out April 14th.
I need to watch a recap.
Or is that a different show? Let's look. Not that it's important.
Yeah,
for
but
people who
these
don't listen to Game of Thrones.
these games, if they can kind of pull that feeling while people are playing them, I feel like that's like the new goal. Besides, but I that's for
They want
obvious
people to feel-
genres, you know, because you can't do it with like a really like multiplayer game like Apex or Fortnite, something like that.
You can't, because you're not really getting into a story, but I
Mm-hmm.
think this is all leading towards the eventual, where most games are basically VR experiences,
Mm-hmm.
because then you have the full interactive, you know,
Interaction,
interaction,
interactive sense.
interactivity. Is what I was gonna
Interactivity.
say. Yeah, well, that's such a weird word. I think I've said that in years. That might not be a real word. Let's look that up. Interactivity.
But yeah, I need to get on the VR.
Okay, it is.
the VR realm, because yeah, that is where the future is.
Yeah, I saw some awesome games recently. Stuff they've come out with.
They're
Things
creeping
that-
up.
Yeah, they look really cool. But yeah, I think everything's just leading towards a full, like you're saying, an immersive experience. Where some of it's not going to be story based, because people like these quick battle royale things, which I'm a fan of too. When you're short on time.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with those.
No, but I hope it continues to lead towards like a full, almost interactive movie you're not living, but experiencing through VR goggles.
That it has to be coming, because
Yeah, basically come over here and your guy runs towards the scene. So you're basically going to be in these like first person, like hardcore Henry type situations.
I think of it this way: because look, I consider myself just like the average human being. At least, and let's go even more specific, the average gamer in America. So I would say, if it's something that I would like conceivably want, there's got to be someone out there smarter than me who wants something like pretty similar.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
definitely. That's like when you think like, why don't they have, this phone with this exact combination of features?
I'm
You're
sure.
not the-
I'm sure
you're-
someone's like working on that, or
Yeah.
trying to, or thinking about it.
You're not unique. Yeah, someone
Yeah.
has thought of that. Also, to clarify, because I'm also probably an average video game consumer at this point, like the average like 25 to 35 gamer,
Right.
because I don't game as much as I used to as a teenager,
course,
but
yeah.
I do buy a lot of new games when they come out, because
Yup,
I got
all the
enough
time.
cash to just buy, whatever. It's a
Yup.
$50 game every like couple months. I don't buy a ton of games really.
You get a lot of time with it too.
Yeah, you get a lot of entertainment out of it. But what I was going to say is I consume a ton of content. I watch YouTube a lot. I play games. But my theory is, I'm sure I would get shit for this, just saying this, but I think a lot of people who think they're pretty content would be even happier who just basically only consume things, just swapped out like 1 hour and just like even write it in a journal.
And just created something.
Yeah, just write it. Actually, you know what? That's what I'm saying. You don't have to
Yeah.
make any shit. Just write how your day went every day in a journal. Just getting your thoughts out and writing something of your own onto paper, it's very freeing, especially if you spend 7 hours playing, Battlefield, Call of Duty, Gears of War, eating a bunch of snacks, and you watch like, 2 movies. Your brain's so fried with information. If you just write out how you're feeling, you can go to bed and just have a much better, day depending when you write.
Honestly, I feel like just the whole experience as a kid would really play a huge part into like someone's future creativity, because if you're a kid and you're not influenced or exposed, I'm not going to say pushed, because when you push kids to do things, like, they don't want to do them. It's by nature,
Right.
for the most part.
Like,
But
I'll be honest, I never liked math. There's certain things I always liked.
exactly, there's always those things. If you're pushed, you won't want to do them. But if you're, I feel like, let's say your parents expose you, not necessarily push you into it, but expose you to a lot of different like artistic avenues. Like, they introduce, they don't force you to play anything, but they introduce you to some instruments. They don't force you to create any art, but they maybe give you some things to create art with, easels and shit. Or let's say you just want to like fucking code or something. They hook you up with a fucking like computer. Obviously, like, not every parent can afford to do this for their fucking kids. Even like my parents can help me out with a lot of that shit. They did their best, but what I'm saying is, even in like most situations, a parent could push their kid into some form of open-mindedness. And when you don't do that for a kid, I feel like that really makes it easy to be a consumer, because throughout your whole life, you're kind of just programmed to just consume.
Right, you're just, this is what I do. You're almost a robot. Like if you just take over running the family's convenience store, and you don't see any option out of that, so you just think, I do this mindlessly, then I go home and consume.
So even,
unless you happen to have a natural artistic itch, but if you're kind of talked out of it, like your parents are like, no, what are you talking about? Like, we run a store. When you try to like do painting, it's like, that'll fuck up a kid.
Oh yeah.
Well, they might never paint again.
When people, and this, you could apply this to like anything, like like one obvious thing would be like if someone was like a closet like gay person,
right?
And throughout their whole life they were told by their like super religious family like that's horrible, like you can't do that. And as a kid, they're like, fuck, is this actually really bad? When in reality, of course, it's fucking not bad.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, if you're a kid and someone tells you if you do this, you're going to go to hell, you actually think, if you're, at least as a really young kid, I might actually go to hell for this shit.
But that's it. So you start like second guessing yourself,
Yeah.
and you don't know,
Yeah.
if you should do it.
Then it causes you stress, grief, and you just don't know what, is this shit real?
Like that'll follow you throughout your whole life and affect you in different areas. Like applying for jobs and like just having the confidence to do shit. So that's why like the formative years do a whole lot for a kid, I think.
Right. Like I know, people have their beliefs, whatever. They can do whatever they want. But for example, like if someone doesn't eat pork due to religious reasons, and their parents tell them as a kid, if you eat pepperoni or if you eat bacon, you'll be punished, or it's like horrible. You have to pray and apologize.
Right, and make a whole big deal.
Like they might get
even
out
like
of
Catholic
all that.
people on like Fridays with like meat on Lent.
Right, but what I was gonna say is he might get out of all that. Get over the religion. The dude could be 40, and I'm sure in a lot of situations this happens, and that person gets bacon on their burger at the bar with their friends, and it gives them a little bit of a slight doubt for a second in their head. Not that that's like technically bad. It just maybe reminds them of it. Like a little bit of a bad thought might come up, just because it's like they always associated, pork with evil or a bad thing.
Yeah, no, because like
Even like
when
your
you're
friends are like, dude, it's just bacon.
when you're a kid, like you get really hounded with a lot of thoughts and ideas. That's why like I feel like a good parent doesn't like push their kid into shit, but it just exposes them, in a good way. It doesn't like throw them out to the world. But if you like tell someone like what to think or how to feel, it's I guess for some people like it's beneficial. Like they kind of need it because they just don't have their own thought. But
yeah, neither of us have kids, but my current pre-parenting tool set.
Yeah. I say this without ever having a kid, ever walking down the diaper aisle, except for cookies.
We have thoughts about it, though. I mean, there's people who just go into having a kid and they never even think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I at least have an idea of what type of person I'd try to be. It's always going to be different when it's actually happening, but there's a few generic things, like you were saying. I feel like you have to let your kids be open with things, like let them try things that aren't bad for their health necessarily, just let them try a sport, if you have to pay a little bit extra and they don't like it, let them try a few things out and find something they like. Don't tell them they can't do something, like they can't paint, they can't draw, they can't make music, or like I think I get it, but like when parents, for example, like tell someone like, no, you just can't have the drum set anymore because they don't want to hear the noise. Like that kid could be like a natural drummer, but his career is destroyed by the parents. Like, I feel how about like maybe try to put up some panels or find a solution? Like, I don't know.
I was gonna say like if you get your kid a drum set, you have to know what you're getting into. You know
right,
what I mean?
Right. And it's like if you get him into it, then you take it away, and that kid's messed up in the head, and he could have, because he always
they took my drum set.
Yeah, he's like, they took my drum set.
Turns into Hitler.
Shit.
But yeah, like
kids are very impressionable. But so yeah, let them. Don't be, very strict on stupid things like that, and just take things away. I feel like, and let them, not literally, but let them burn their finger on the stove, like a metaphor.
I think
like literally let them grab the hot pan ones and just like whoa, like you can't touch hot things. Like kids have to learn.
I think that I would parent close to the same way I raise my cat. It's like you can't let like you
change its diaper every couple of days.
You can't be upset when like cats do like cat shit. You know what I mean? It's like you can't
behavior wise.
Yeah, behavior. I mean, you
got to feed it different and
because like for the most part, it's like cats are gonna do like instinctual cat shit. Just like kids, they're gonna do like shit that every like human kid does. Like they're gonna want to like break rules and bend rules and do all this shit. It's like okay, like.
Even I remember as a kid, like my mom being like, "Don't do that." I'd literally be reaching over to do it to piss her off. Kids are instigators.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, you can get upset at your kids for shit, but if you get like really upset at your kids for like everything, then being upset doesn't even matter. You know what I mean?
The annoying, angry parent. Then they start to be a teenager, and they see other people's parents are like that. They're like, my parents are just assholes.
Yeah,
that's all that happens. It has no effect.
So if you are like,
it just messes them up.
If you make it clear that okay, like there's a difference between like light, like in trouble shit and like you fucked up.
I was about to say the next part of that isn't not just being some weird open hair and lets your kid do anything. There has to be
boundaries.
There has to be like one sheet, maybe laminate it and give it to them. It's just a set, maybe 10, like the 10 crack commandments, like the Biggie song, like the 10 rules for life. Things you do not get into, things the rules of bedtime and curfew, and those will just be established. That's just the way I'm going to run it. And then they'll be fair, very fair. Like, for example, if you're assuming like they're teenagers, like if you make the choice to have a drink or two, like parentheses, don't overdo it. This is literally the type of shit I'd write as a parent. Like, call me and I'll pick you up. Like, don't get a sketchy ride home. Don't drive. That type of thing. You have to be open because kids are going to do dumb things.
Yeah.
When they're 17. They might think if my mom kills me if she finds out I even had a beer, they're not going to have that thought in their head to call their mom to say, Mom, I don't feel safe. I kind of want to get out of this party.
That's huge.
Yeah, you need to have that connection. I definitely want my kids to be on like a hey, just call me or text me, FaceTime me, something,
because
Skype me.
I mean, I wasn't the worst kid in high school ever. I would consider myself in quote unquote a good kid. I don't know what the fuck you want to call it. I didn't do shit. I didn't drink.
Nerds.
I didn't smoke.
Yeah.
But if
where's jabronis? Just didn't do anything. We weren't bad enough to be with the bad kids, and we weren't uppity enough to be with the uppity kids. We just kind of fell in the cracks.
Yeah, but
that's the thing is, I feel like people who just have their, a unique personality, or maybe they just don't have a strong clique of friends they ever stuck with during those early school years. I feel like it's hard to fall into a clique in high school, unless you're on a sports team. That's really the easiest way in.
Yeah, but
people join the hockey team, the football team, and you automatically have a crew. But I never fell into that because I played track. I did track and didn't play it, I guess, junior and senior year. But I never really felt that strongly on a team because it wasn't a direct competitive sport against other teams. We would throw, but it would just be a bunch of people from other high schools standing around. Didn't feel like we were battling them like football. So I never really had that camaraderie. Other guys in the track team were hey man, in the hallway. So I kind of was just that quiet kid in high school for sure. Maybe I was more rowdy than I make it appear to be though. Looking back, I was in the principal's office a few times for throwing Go-Gurt at the wall and orange battles, and I could go on.
Yeah, I was never the worst kid out there, but even I found myself in sketchy situations.
Right, I was kind of I was magnetized to bad situations, but I wasn't directly starting them.
So it would have been bad. I never really had to actually call for backup or do anything. But if I ever had found myself really needing to hey, can you come and pick me up? This is not a good situation I'm in. Then if I wouldn't have been able to do that, that would have been scary. But I had a good support system, which a lot of people don't think that they don't have, or don't think that they have, because the parents are just upset at them all the time and they don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, or, find the cool uncle, maybe older sister or brother who's got a license. Get closer with them. I'm sure there's a ton of people out there who are maybe, 16 who don't have a good relationship with their brother or sister who's 18 or 19 who could easily come scoop them up in a bad situation.
Oh, you would hope.
Try to work out those things. Ooh, lots of interesting shit we got into. Really random. Should we end on that? I don't have anything else. I'm just in this decongested haze right now.
Yeah. No. I think that was good.
Yeah. Stay safe, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Have a good weekend.
I just wanna hit that. I could be your new bat. Walk up in the house 2 a.m. where the food at. I'm trying to have it ready when I finish fucking you. See a nice couch, but where I'm fucking you at, don't grab me so hard you could bruise that. I know your boyfriend just mad cause he do rap, but don't be on my nuts. Nigga, it's a full tax. Hit him with the new blue and white, just be cool hat. Number 8 Jordans unlaced with the 2 straps. This is not a game or anything, I can lose that. I'm standing right here, this way you should choose that. I got it going down, got it going down. I never really let a nigga ever meet my mom, but I've been sorta maybe thinking you could be the one. And I've been sorta maybe thinking you could be the one. When I do hit, I talk shit.